So, Daji, welcome.
Thank you.
Daji, why did you choose a conversation style for this book?
Well. Because you told me so. And also, it was a direction from above and from within that this is the best format. Roll back a few thousand years or a few hundred years, Upanishads, the guru-disciple discussion happening on very serious subjects. You can see that flow, natural flow, that the disciple would ask a question and the guru would answer.
Daji, in these conversations in the book, you describe a spiritual journey of expanding consciousness. So can you share with us some thoughts about this journey? Is it difficult? Is it accessible to anyone who is interested, or is it only for a chosen few?
Well, you raise a very valid question. The journey of expanding consciousness. I think that should be the apparent goal for everyone. So it is possible for anyone and everyone to allow this expansion of consciousness. When people ask me, is this journey difficult? I often respond with another question. Is it difficult for a river to flow to the ocean? Can you tell me how difficult it is to hold your hands like this and close your eyes? It's not very difficult. And always remember what Babuji showed me that day in 1977, that invisible somewhere isn't somewhere else. It's right here, closer than your breath, simpler than simplicity itself.
Who was Babuji to you?
Babuji. Babuji to me, who made the impossible possible, who brought the dawn of reality to our dark age.
So, Daji, welcome. We would very much like to ask you some questions about this book, the Heartfulness Way, Book 2, Contemplating Life's Great Questions on the Nature of Reality. About the ideas you had behind the book, starting with a question. Daji, why did you choose a conversation style for this book?
Well. Because you told me so. And also, it was a direction from above and from within that this is the best format. Look, roll back a few thousand years or a few hundred years, Upanishads, the guru-disciple discussion happening on very serious subjects. You can see that flow, natural flow, that the disciple would ask a question and the guru would answer. Here, we have queries from many sources which we collected from all sources and then tried to organize them. And behold, they all came together like reality at dawn. You see, if you have read Babuji's book, Reality at Dawn, he begins with the present situation of the world, especially philosophically speaking, the situation with search of God or religion as it is today. And then he shifts to, very gently, what should be the real goal of human life. And then he explores the means, and then he goes into further details. And those type of questions were also organized in this book. And we have taken help from the wisdom of Babbuji Maharaj and our masters of the tradition in answering those questions, plus our personal experiences over the years. Well, to put it briefly, in one of the meditations one morning, I had a pronounced or a profound feeling inside. The entire cosmos is in conversation with you. The planets speak to the sun, to their orbits. The trees, they whisper to the wind. The wind carries the message. Our hearts also, they constantly dialogue with the unknown, called divine, whether we are conscious of it or not. So why should spiritual teaching be any different? The traditional model of spiritual books, the sage on the mountain proclaiming the truths, creates a subtle separation. It says, I know, and you don't. I have arrived, and you're still seeking. But conversation says, we are walking together. I may be a few steps ahead on this path, but we are companions in this journey. Reality at Dawn, which I just mentioned to you by my Guruji, Babuji Maharaja, is actually written in more traditional expository style, while this Heartfulness book too does employ the conversation format what you're going to see through, what you're really asking about. Now, how to bridge these generations, meaning the one that would have spent so much of time studying the book for hours and having this way of conversation, which the modern youth will appreciate, the dialogue style. The dialogue format allows connecting the ancient with the modern, ancient wisdom with the modern sensibilities, practicality, making these timeless truths relevant for these contemporary seekers. Now, when we address the real doubts to different characters and voices, he can voice this individual person the actual questions relevant to this modern world, however skeptic they may be, however doubtful they may be, without the seeming defenses. It just opens up. And also when we have conversation style, I think it has a conversation based on layers of understanding, one behind the another, and it just simply unfolds. So I think for many different reasons, this book, thanks to you, has come up. You have done a wonderful job in organizing various questions and various responses from different angles. I'm very grateful to you for that.
So it was only because of the interactions that it could happen, really. It it wasn't a labor at all. It just, especially being in Kana, it just flows. And and there's nothing to say, really. It just is something where the work can happen not because of me or because of anybody else in the mix. It just happens. It just flows. Daji, in these conversations in the book, you describe a spiritual journey of expanding consciousness. And this expanding consciousness has a starting point, which, like you mentioned in Babuji's book, starts with where we are today. So does yours. It starts with this dilemma of the human existence. And you take us to the ultimate realization of the purpose of human life and potential. So can you share with us some thoughts about this journey? Is it difficult? Is it accessible to anyone who is interested, or is it only for a chosen few?
Well, you raise a very valid question. The journey of expanding consciousness. I think that should be the apparent goal for everyone. So it is possible for anyone and everyone to allow this expansion of consciousness. For life is all about that. The purpose of our existence is only that. When people ask me, is this journey difficult? I often respond with another question. Is it difficult for a river to flow to the ocean? The river doesn't struggle. It simply follows its nature, though it doesn't have a brain. The difficulty comes only when we build dams, when we resist the natural flow. Unfortunately, unlike rivers, we are the ones personally creating dams, one after the other, excuses after excuses. When you want to really attain a highest goal, and it is so obvious, the reason is only one, that I want to attain the highest. But the excuses can be infinite. They keep postponing. You see, consciousness wants to expand. It's like a child wanting to grow. The yearning for something greater, the divine discontent we feel with ordinary life, this itself is a proof that expansion is our destiny. It's not our fantasy. But here is the paradox, you see. The journey is simultaneously the simplest and the most challenging. Simple because the practices like meditation, cleaning, prayer can be learned by even a child. Can you tell me how difficult it is to hold your hands like this and close your eyes? It's not very difficult. Challenging because it requires us to shed everything false about ourselves. Like when you close your eyes, what generally happens? You're face to face with your inner self, your thoughts, your previous actions, your intentions. And when they're at crossroads and confusing you all the time, did I do that correctly? Is my intention correct? And when you see the ugliness of your being, you say, why look in the mirror? And you open your eyes. You don't want to see your inner self. Now, about this accessibility, that is where my heart sings. In the olden days, spiritual knowledge was guarded like treasure, given only to the qualified. But what did Babbuji Maharaj, my guru, did? He looked at the humanity and said, everyone is qualified. Everyone carries the divine spark. Think about it. Does a mother ask if her child is qualified to receive her love? The very question is absurd. Similarly, the divine doesn't interview candidates. The only qualification is a heart that says, I want to know, I want to grow, I want to return to my homeland.
Yeah.
And, I've seen illiterate farmers reach states of consciousness that would amaze the scholars. Once I had an opportunity of witnessing a sudden quantum jump of about a dozen women who were visiting Kanha from a small village near Ajmer. And all of them, they were, I think, working out as volunteers in the scorching heat of Telangana sun at the mid of afternoon. I was resting in my cottage. And when I open the window and see these ladies working so hard, I called them in and I said, I must give them a sitting. We must meditate together with these special volunteers. The moment I closed my eyes, whoop, they were gone. They were at the pinnacle of spirituality, which I have mentioned in this book, that you can reach the highest with a blink of an eye. And I could witness that. The person, they were ready. And that's what Babbuji Maharaj mentions here also, that of course, readiness is not prerequisite of spirituality, but readiness is required to jump into the goal. See, the practice itself prepares us. And what a beautiful thing. You can practice all your life, but without transmission, without Pranahути from the source, you cannot move even an inch. See, for example, when I had to mention to you, what is dhyan, what is the purpose of dhyan, means what is the purpose of meditation? It is to help us expand our consciousness so that we can tap into the ultimate wisdom. And that's the real meaning of dhyan. In Sanskrit, if you see and split this word, di plus yan, this di, this fundamental dhatu, or the etymologically speaking, the root of this word, di, it is repeated twice in Gayatri Mantra. Dhimahi dhiyo yona prachodayat. Means ultimate, the source of ultimate knowledge, ultimate wisdom. That is di. Yan means vehicle, or the process through which we attain this ultimate wisdom. Now, since it's a process, it needs energy input, or you may say a yan is a vehicle. So, through this, we are able to charge it, energize it through Pranahути from the source. So without transmission, you cannot move even an inch in your consciousness. So the source tapping for this Pranahути is done by the master of caliber. And you can try it out yourself. You see how you meditate on your own without Pranahути, without this transmission, and meditate with the source of transmission and see how fast your consciousness takes a lift. It changes instantly. Let me be honest. While the path is open to all, not all will walk on it. Not because they cannot, but because they will not. The gate is open, but we must choose to enter. The feast is prepared, but we must sit down to eat. What determines who progresses? Not intelligence, not God, not special status, not even previous spiritual experience. These three things: your interest, that will make you practice, that will raise faith within you. Unfortunately, all religions demands faith first, then practice, then interest. Spirituality says, are you interested? Then adopt a practice. The results of your practice will prove to you, will show it to your heart that yes, I can trust this process, I can trust this vehicle. So, show up, be sincere, trust the process, that's all. And you know what breaks my heart? When people disqualify themselves, they think, I am too worldly, I'm too busy, too ordinary. Dear friends, that's exactly why this path, Heartfulness Way, exists. For the ordinary people living a simple, ordinary lives who sense an extraordinary possibility. The journey from individual consciousness to cosmic consciousness isn't reserved for the few. It's the birthright of every human being. We just need to claim it. Shall we explore what this journey actually looks like as it unfolds?
Yes, please, Daaji. That would be great. Can I ask you about this book, Reality at Dawn, you spoke about, and also about Babuji, who you've mentioned? Who was Babuji to you?
Babuji. You know, after that first meeting in 1977, though I began this meditation in the August of 1976, that I shared earlier with you, where I saw him as both present and untouchable. When I met him for the first time in his house, he was existing right in front of you, but invisible somewhere. My relationship with him only deepened through the years, even after his physical passing. Babuji, to me, the proof, his persona is a proof that God still walks among us, just wearing very good disguises. He represents divinity, simplicity, purity. Here was a man who would worry about his clerical duties, fret about family expenses. How much did you spend for this pamphlet, which was hardly even 50 paisa, and yet simultaneously exists in the central region which I have talked about, merged with the absolute, reshaping the spiritual destiny of humanity. And he became everything to me, not just me, but to many. Father, mother, friend, a compassionate guide, the very breath of my spiritual existence. Even now, especially now, I feel him more present than ever. I mentioned to you earlier when I saw him for the first time in Sadanpur. He was in front of my eyes, but he was somewhere. Now, he is somewhere, but in front of my eyes. Sometimes during this transmission from heart to heart, I feel I'm just a pipe, a conduit, and it is still Babuji's love that's flowing through to reach all. What made my master so unique? He democratized the highest spiritual attainment. For millennia, the ultimate states were closely guarded secrets. Babuji said, no more of these secrets. These belong to humanity. He took practices that required caves and forests and made them work in kitchens and offices. You know his oft-repeated statement whenever someone came and said, Babuji, how much will you charge for this transmission and for liberation? You know, his voice would soften and said, Brahma Vidya is for all. How much can you charge for Brahma Vidya or for God? if you could pay that much Guru Dakshina, why do you need God or Brahma Vidya anyway? You see, now, Reality at Dawn, this isn't just a book. It's Babuji's spiritual autobiography, written in universal terms. When he describes the journey from the initial stir of consciousness to the center, he's not theorizing. He's giving us his travel diary. Why is it worth sharing with the world? Because it contains the DNA of spiritual evolution as a map of our spiritual journey. Every sentence carries multiple layers of meaning, and they become meaningful and obvious as we travel along. They all reveal themselves as we grow. I have read it hundreds of times, and still new dimensions just open up. Look, why this book is so revolutionary? First, it demystifies the ultimate. While others wrapped reality in complex philosophy, Babuji presents it like an old friend introducing you to his home. Here is the living room of consciousness. Here is the kitchen of your purification. And here, he says, with a twinkle in his eyes, is the bedroom where you rest in the Absolute. Secondly, it's a working manual disguised as philosophy. When he describes the points of the Pinda Pradesh, the heart region, dominated by Panchabhutas, 5 basic elements: earth, space, fire, water, and air. He is giving coordinates. When he explains the role of Pranahути, he is handing us the key. It's like a treasure map where X marks the spot, but the spot is within you. Thirdly, this book addresses the modern mind, written in the 1940s. It anticipates every question the scientific one, skeptical mind that would ask. No dogmas, no blind belief system. Just here is a method, here is why it works, and now you verify it yourself. You are the scientist. You are the result of the process. And your heart is where you experiment. That's your laboratory. You are the judge. You are the way, you are the means. But what moves me the most is its compassion. Between the lines that he wrote, you feel Babuji's broken heart. Broken with love for humanity, he saw our suffering, our endless seeking, and said, enough. Let me show you the shortcut home. You see, Reality at Dawn isn't meant to be read, or this particular book, Heartfulness Way, book number 2. It's meant to be absorbed. I tell people, read one paragraph, or one question, one topic, then meditate. Let it sink below the mind. Just as this embedded transmission is in every word. The book is alive, waiting to awaken something in you. This is who Babuji was and is, the master who made the impossible possible, who brought the dawn of reality to our dark age. And his book and its expansion, now in this book, Heartfulness, where too, it's the morning sun available to anyone willing to open their windows. Just open your heart.
Thank you, Daaджi. As well as Babuji's words, you have added so many explanations. And this helps us to understand Babuji's philosophy with a very simple, practical approach that anyone can follow. So please share with us where this wisdom came from, this practicality that's so accessible to everybody.
You know, this question always makes me a bit uncomfortable because the truth is, I am just a typist. The wisdom isn't mine. Let me try to explain this mysterious process. First, there is the direct transmission from the source. You see, in our tradition, knowledge isn't just information passed from mind to mind. It's a living transfer of feelings from heart to heart. Instead of talking about happiness, peace, bliss, joy, would they give you so much of joy, bliss, peace, calmness just by speaking? Or I speak of spaghetti and pizza, and would you be happy just listening to them? No. You have to taste it. You have to consume it. Babuji was installing the software, you could say programming spiritual DNA with Babuji's understanding. And that happens with everyone. I can share an example with you that without reading a book, only through the experience, you can write your own book, which will be exactly similar to what Babuji wrote. The preceptor, may God bless her, who started me on this path, Draupadi Devi Agrawal, she could not read English. She understood Hindi very well, but not such a good reader of Hindi. So she requested me, Kamlesh Bhai, please read these books for me. This goes back to 1976, 77, when we had limited numbers of books written by Babuji Maharaj. So when I would read each paragraph, each line, she would say, I have felt this, I have experienced this. So you see, even without reading, just following this path, knowledge now becomes a living resonance in your system. You become a witness to that actual Brahma Vidya. Often when I sit to explain something, words come that I didn't know I knew. It's like searching for the right image. Imagine you inherit a library from your grandfather. For years you just dust the books. Then one day, someone asks a question and suddenly you know everything. Exactly which book to open, which page to turn to. The knowledge was always there, waiting for the right question just to activate it. The practical understanding comes from living it, experiencing it, falling into it, trying again and again. Every mistake I have made, every struggle that I made and faced in my practice, they all became my teachers. When someone asks about dealing with disturbing thoughts during meditation, I just have to remember how I fought my own battles with those thoughts. When they struggle with ego, I recall my own humiliations. This isn't wisdom, it's just the scar tissues that became sensitive to others' pain. The real source, it's the seekers themselves. One who is searching becomes the search. When someone asks a question with genuine thirst, something in me responds that's beyond my personal knowledge. The yearning pulls the answer from the source. Many times after a talk, I wonder who said that? Where did those words come from? Is the divine speaking to itself through this dialogue? And the practical approach that comes from being a pharmacist, a family man, someone who lived in the world while walking the path. I know what it's like to meditate with children playing outside. When you're meditating, they may be playing around in your lap. To practice while managing a business, where a customer is shouting, "Where is my prescription?" To seek God while paying bills. This forced me to find what actually works in real life, not just in ideal conditions. But ultimately, any wisdom that flows is Babuji's gift to his children. He planted these seeds in all of us. Some became scholars, some became poets, some became silent transmitters. In my case, somehow, he made me a translator, taking his oceanic knowledge, his understanding, and serving it in small cups that modern seekers can sip without drowning in it. The real question isn't where this wisdom comes from, but where it wants to go in your heart, into your practice, in your life. That's the only destination that matters.
Taji, essentially, this book, the Heartfulness Way, Book 2, is a summary of how we can transform from where we are now, with all our current belief systems, our limitations, our mental fears and weaknesses, to reach a stage of God realization within this lifetime, which sounds so fantastical. How is it possible?
You see, we come to this $1,000,000 question. God realization in this lifetime, not after countless births, not in some distant heaven, but here, now, in the midst of our emails and traffic jams and family dinners. Yes, absolutely yes. It's possible. But let me tell you why this isn't just wishful thinking. You see, the whole game changed when Lalaji introduced yogic transmission, Pranahути, to this world. Before this, however serious you may be, however seriously you may be looking for God realization, these individuals were like people trying to climb the Everest with their own strength and without the oxygen tanks. Now it's like someone invented the helicopters. The effort still matters, but the power source is different. Think about it in this way, that if you had to walk from Delhi to Mumbai, it might take months. But if you catch a flight, 2 hours at the most. Same destination, revolutionary method. This is what Pranahути does to the spiritual journey. And, Here is what people misunderstand. God realization isn't about becoming something you are not. It's about uncovering what you already are. We are not building a palace. We are cleaning the mirror. That reflection of divinity is already there, just obscured by impressions, desires, and burdens of ego. In this volume, Heartfulness, Book 2, we outline the systematic approach. First, we refine individual consciousness through meditation and cleaning. Like turning a radio, we adjust our frequency to receive clearer signals. Fine-tuning. The static reduces, the divine station comes through. Then gradually our refined consciousness starts resonating with our universal cosmic consciousness. We begin to feel what the trees feel, sense the cosmic rhythms, understand without thinking. The boundaries of me become porous. Next comes the leap beyond consciousness. What lies beyond consciousness? Now we are jumping into what we call the realm of potentiality. What supports this consciousness? Here you are no longer experiencing various spiritual states. You are becoming the source of those states. You are knowing now. You are fully aware. You become fully in grip of your own spiritual wealth. It's like moving from watching a movie to being in the projection room. And finally, the journey to the center, the absolute core of existence, where nothing and everything meet. But why is this possible in one lifetime? Several reasons. One, the collective consciousness has evolved. Humanity has evolved to a great extent at a consciousness level. What required extraordinary effort in the past is now naturally accessible. We are standing on the shoulders of all previous seekers. Number two, I would say the master's capacities has evolved. Babuji often said he was preparing the path so future generations could travel faster. He laid the superhighways where there were once mountain trails. And number three, I would say, the method that is offered by Heartfulness Way, it's complete. Meditation for aspiration, cleaning for inner purification, transmission for total transformation, and prayer to make you humble and remain connected with the infinity. It's a total system, like having all the tools instead of just a hammer. Number four reason I say it's crucial. We are not starting from zero. Every soul coming to this path has been prepared through previous experiences, encounters, their efforts. The very fact that you're asking these questions means you are ready for answers. But here is the truth. Within this lifetime doesn't mean tomorrow. It means it's genuinely possible, not a false promise. Some may touch it in months, others in years, some at their last breath. the timing isn't very important. The possibility that it can happen anytime is everything. The real question isn't, is it possible? But how badly do you want it? Because the universe conspires to fulfill the heart's deepest yearning. Even a thief is supported. Even a murderer is not murdered by the nature and say, you stop murdering people. Energy flows in that direction too. When that yearning for God realization becomes for God alone, the impossible bows down to inevitability. When first time I read Reality at Dawn, and on the first or second page, Babbuji Maharaj mentions something like, where religion ends, spirituality begins. When spirituality ends, reality begins. When reality ends, bliss begins, and that too ends. I couldn't make a sense out of it. I thought religion ending means what? And then you enter spirituality, what does it mean? But over the years, my encounter with Heartfulness and Babuji's transmission, I can boldly say that religion that was full of dogmas and belief became actuality through experience. When you say God is omnipresent, the knowledge now becomes experiential, that now I feel God everywhere. Isn't it beautiful? Later on, you get fed up of these experiences also. And you want to become that very experience. Let me give you an example of you being treated with great hospitality of a very wealthy and generous friend, where you spend 2 months, 3 months. You enjoy that rich hospitality. But deep down, most of us would feel, okay, yes, I wish I was also as rich, as wealthy. So rich hospitality is great, but to become rich itself is a different matter altogether. So divine experiences that one encounters on the journey. Many people say, I went to this church or I went to this a temple, or I took bath in such and such a place. But what have you become? Divine experiences are great, but have you become divine yourself? Then it becomes beautiful and life becomes worth living. After that, once you say, instead of experiencing love, I myself become love. Instead of enjoying peace and calmness, I myself become that peace and calmness personified. Later on, the journey continues. We say goodbye to this becoming also. We shed all that becoming into absolute nothingness. You have unloaded yourself from every becoming, as the source was prior to the creation of the universe. So in short, my dear friends, we have traveled together through these questions, but really we have traveled through eternity. From the simple choice of conversation to the ultimate undoing of realization. What a journey. You know what touches me the most? That we are having this conversation at all. That in 2025, hearts are still seeking, still yearning, still willing to dive into deepest questions of existence. This gives me such hope for humanity. Everyone says, is it possible in this modern era? But yes, remember, humanity is evolving. Today's youngsters, children, their consciousness is much more different than ours. Remember also that everything we have discussed so far, every concept, every experience I have shared, these are just fingers pointing to the moon. Don't hold to these fingers. Don't look at them. Look where they are pointing. The path is simpler than we make it. Meditate with love, not with ambition. Clean yourself, purify your heart with gratitude, not with guilt. Play with surrender, not with demands. Live with wonder, not worries. And always remember what Babuji showed me that day in 1977, that invisible somewhere isn't somewhere else. It's right here. Closer than your breath, simpler than simplicity itself. Until we meet again, whether in these conversations, in meditation, or in that placeless place where all hearts merge, may your journey be filled with discoveries and make you laugh at their obviousness. The dawn is not coming, the dawn is here. You are the dawn. With all my love and lots of prayers. Keep practicing. Grace is always there. Grace does the rest.
Thank you, Master.
Thank you. Thank you.